We're always searching outside of ourselves. And I think the thing that is really most important to those that are going to listen to this podcast is that my sister and I want everyone to know that everything that you need is within you.
Mhm.
And like literally everything, all of the answers, all the love, all the truth, all the grace, all the understanding, and not just the light, but also the shadows. And as Missy and I have dived into human design and gene keys.
And also learning how to talk to our spirit guides and,
Yeah.
like a deeper way to pray.
Yeah.
And in terms of, like, what is a spiritual awakening, yeah, I think of it like you, where it's opening up to the good, bad, the beautiful, ugly, and taking away those labels, first of
Mhm.
all, and embracing all of it and learning to love all of it, and first that has to happen within. Jesse, what are the kinds of things that we wanna talk about?
Well, I know for sure that I want to talk about what it means to search for truth and be willing to be open minded so that we can make room and space for things that really serve us, that allow us to connect more to one another. And I think the more we learn how to connect, the more we come into the oneness of what we all are within the consciousness aspect. And then it's easier to start seeing all the lies in the world that we've been told about what we're supposed to believe and what we're supposed to do and how we're supposed to treat people. And I feel like the world is a really lost, chaotic place on the outside. And I feel like the peace is the inwardness, and we all have that. And we all know that that's there, and we all know that we can tap into that. But it's multifaceted. There's all these deep layers and levels of healing and growth and understanding, and people are looking for truth and they're looking for answers to burning questions that are surfacing, and they're ready to step on new paths. And I feel like that's what you and I have been doing over this last year or two, if not, on and off, I suppose, in ways over the last 4 or 5 years.
Mhm.
um and finding that inward sovereignty, but then also connecting with other people and finding our tribe and really having deep, in depth discussions about what we are seeing and experiencing and feeling, and how that all brings us together to have community and have conversation around what we're experiencing.
Yeah. My goal is really kind of self-centered, where I want an opportunity to explore all of these things that I'm going through and experiencing, to talk them out and really feel them deeply and give them permission to come to the
Mhm.
surface, seen and witnessed by you. And I feel like that process is really going to resonate with other people who listen
Mhm.
and will say, "Oh my gosh, I've been feeling that too." Because over the past, yeah, 4 or 5 years for me, 2019 is when I had my big existential crisis, right? And then I've just been keeping it low for the last 4 years. Well, the last year, I've been starting to become more aware of it. I just came to the point where I couldn't take it anymore. I couldn't live anymore. Things were getting really dark and really hard.
And it
Everything.
was all manifesting within your health.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And people ask, "What did you do differently? How did that shift happen? Did you change your diet?" Yes, and about 20 other things where I learned how to listen to myself. I mean, I'm still working on it a lot. I've learned how to exist in my own body along with my spirit, and all these parts of me are welcome here and loved and allowed. And now I want to show them to my people, to the world, and give them a chance to love and allow them to. So
Mhm.
that's what I'm here for. And I think
Mhm.
so many women,
Mhm.
yes, men too, our children, everybody needs a chance to really speak their truth.
Yeah. Yeah. I completely believe that. Um, so as you were talking there, my window is open and there was a train, and I love the light noise. I always go back to this memory at girls' camp at Devil's Lake when I think I was like 13 or 14, and we
Mhm.
were having testimony meeting. There was the railroad tracks right there, and this train went by, and I just remember it being so magical.
Mm,
Like, it was really, really, really neat, and so every time I hear the train go by, it's this magical, beautiful experience, but,
the confirmation.
um no?
Yes, yes, like a confirmation.
Oh, I thought you said not for me. I was like, "Really? Does it scare you?" Like
I'm speaking my truth, damn it. It's a trade.
not for me. Um, yeah, and then as you were also speaking, you were talking about sharing our gifts and talents with the world. You know what I just realized, Missy? It's Valentine's Day, but I started feeling Nate's spirit come through and started thinking of his art.
Oh, really?
And then I just realized that Nate passed away the day after Valentine's Day. And Valentine's Day was the last day he was like awake, and we got to actually see him on that day. And mom had bought flowers and a card for him to sign so that he could give it to Rachel. And that was like this beautiful last time
Holding
with her.
for that romantic gesture, right? To have
Yeah.
a day with her before he left. That's what it felt like.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Yeah. It was so beautiful.
our oldest brother, we are of six children, and he was number one, Nate the Great, and he passed away from pancreatic cancer 2018.
And he was an amazing artist. And he drew Nike shoes when he was in high school and applied to work at Nike to draw shoes. And they wanted him to go to school, and he took that as a failure. He thought he was good enough. And they just wanted him to learn the ergonomics or the aesthetics of the foot so that he could learn how to not just build the design of a shoe, but also understand how to build the actual template and shape of a shoe around somebody's foot. Yeah, he was a cool guy.
You know what's interesting about that is he lost so much confidence and he didn't keep on pushing for his dream.
Mhm.
And just realizing that when I applied for college, I had submitted all of my art stuff, like all these pictures of all the pottery that I'd made. And
Mm.
I wanted to do the art program and I got rejected. And that was such a blow.
Mhm.
But it was the same thing where they were like, apply again later, sharpen your skills. But I
Right.
didn't. But I just started picking up pottery again a year and a half ago. And I feel like it's the same thing where it was
Mm.
such a blow, letting someone else decide your worth and then accepting that. And I think Nate did that a lot. I mean,
Yeah, he did. Mhm.
and the reason I'm bringing that up is just because I resonate with that so deep.
Mm.
There's times when I can tune in and feel like he really understands what I'm going through and the
Mhm.
challenges I face.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And that was one of the reasons why I think I gravitated towards him so much and so often, and really felt fortunate that he lived closer by in Madison, and that him and I were kind of always home base with
Mhm.
mom and dad. And so I got to see him more often, and we did the bubble music parties together, and we had all these long talks in the car, when we would go and entertain the kids and the bubble music parties. And
Right. Say how cool that is that you guys did bubble parties
bubble music parties. I was the bubble girl, and he was,
with a
well, bubble
million
boy.
bubbles. And he was
Millions of bubbles. Okay, so our dad is a DJ by well, growing up he was in the JCs, and he then got into DJing the weddings, and then when we were in high school, middle school, high school, he would DJ homecoming and prom, and for
oh,
all the high schools actually in the area, and for the church dances. And but our dad was also very, very committed to serving in our church. He was either the branch president or the bishop. Like, since we were all little, he was always
like the past.
serving.
Mhm.
Yeah, like a pastor in a what a bishop is in a Mormon church. What would be a pastor in like a another church, except he didn't like do sermons and stuff. He just kind of coordinated things and served the people, the families and stuff that were a part of that area and that geographical area. So we always grew up with our dad being busy on Sundays and certain times during the week when he would have church meetings and stuff. And he worked a full-time job as an optician.
He has a lot of charisma. He's a great salesman.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. He also loved music and played the guitar and loved singing. And
Sure, he still does.
yes, he's still a DJ to this day. Yeah, I think a lot of dad's charisma rubbed off on me. It definitely rubbed off on Carlene, that's for sure. Another sister. Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, it's like our podcast is going to be us having a conversation, having to like clue everybody in on
Like,
who we're actually
none of
talking
this
about.
so far is anything we planned on talking about today.
No, but that's the beauty of
Nate showed up and we went on a tangent, so.
way to go, Nate. He's like, you're not doing this without me.
Oh, no, 100%, I guarantee. No.
Because he can do that. Like he can just pop in and just be like, here's my presents. We just need to like start busting out techno music now. Oops, oops.
Yeah, Nate was also a DJ. And his name was Laced Candy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Laced candy. And then he started in his art, his name for his art business was Non-Toxic Ink.
Yes.
You know, his one of his art pieces that's my favorite that he actually drew for Rachel when she was pregnant. It's my favorite. And it's literally just a chalk drawing that he took on a blue piece of paper. And he just kind of swiveled back and forth. And then he, on both sides, so he created these little squares with these swivels. And then he took his gel markers or his gel pens and he did art in the middle of each little square. And one of those was like a cell, like a little baby in the womb. And when you look around the art, it's all abstract and you have to kind of
I have not seen
find.
it.
Oh, Missy, I mean, I have the original on the wall in here in my new apartment.
And can we dissect how you've been in your place? Like, it's almost 2 months ago you got your keys and nobody has seen it.
And this is why I've been waiting to do my reveal for my apartment, is because I just, not that I want it perfect, even though I'm a perfectionist. I want the essence of this place to shine through the video when I show this place off, because I'm so proud now to have my own home again after 15 years of living at mom and dad's. All of these intricate pieces, I just want to be in place so that I can show you how amazing my apartment is and how beautiful this place is. So I have a special needs son who's going to be 22 this month, mom of 3 boys, 25, 23, and 22. And so Desmond and I moved into an apartment where his special needs services are on the main floor. All of his social activities and vocational training and stuff is here. And so this is a stepping stone to whatever the future holds, but it was a huge step for me to step out of my fear, pretty much healing my root chakra, right? Like just like finding that safety and security, and not being so like holding myself back from a place of scarcity, with the scarcity mindset that we'll probably talk about on the podcast, as we grew up like very poor. And me stepping into this is it like I see hawks when I start like really, when I talk out loud about it and stuff. I'm like, hawks just appear, like, and I know that's my spirit animal. And I'm like, I know that I was here. And Gaia, Mother Nature, she literally answered my prayer when Vinny Tolman told me to, we'll talk about Vinny on the podcast too. He's amazing. We're going to have him on.
Yeah.
But Vinny told me, he was like, Gaia, well, Mother Nature is like there for you. Ask her. You have access to her. Ask her to bring you whatever it is that you need. And so I did my, my sage and cedar and tobacco. Like I did my clearing of the energy and sending my healing prayers around, Mother Gaia, and just asked her to make it happen and to support me. And I don't even know how I managed to get into this apartment, Missy. But I was meant to be here. Like everything in nature is confirming that I was meant to be here, and it's just so beautiful, and I'm just like so grateful for it, and I'm like, this is a stepping stone. I'm not ending here. I'm not going to like stay here, but it's helping me to step into the belief that I've always had, but I just needed to step into it, like you were saying, like embodying, the experience so that I can own it and then teach it and grow.
Definitely. Yeah. And we're both doing that in ways. I mean, I'm so proud of you for getting into your own place, and this stage in your life is so exciting.
Mhm.
And I'm doing that in other ways where, I mean, my situation is very different. I'm married and I have 4 kids, 17, 13, 10, and 8. And I don't have to provide for my family, right? Like I don't have that pressure. And so I have lived a long time just waiting for other people to give me permission or tell me what I need to do or what will benefit them, and doing for them what they're telling me or implying that they need is in terms of all of my relationships with, even with my husband or my kids or my friends or my family. And I'm coming to a place now where I've created this company that we'll talk about again, and it has been the catalyst for so much turmoil and growth and
Mhm.
like tower moments, of just destruction and then building myself back up over and over and over the last 10 years.
Mhm.
And I am in a place now where I mean, I've hired coaches, I'm in a school, I have an office and I'm committed to coming here every day, right? Where it's like I made a vow to this business that I'm going to make it work, and treating it like
Mhm.
that sort of relationship. And the thing though about being an entrepreneur, and I wonder if you agree, because you're an entrepreneur too, I don't think you said that, is that the businesses that we create are this external extension of our inner being, or even our inner
Wow.
being, or our inner wondering, right? The
Mm.
things that we have to offer are the things that we are, that are passing through us, that are ours to learn and experience. And so then that's what we have to give the world, or we know that it's needed because we need it. And so when your business is insecure and inactive, like mine has been many times, those were the times where I was feeling insecure and inactive. And the times where it was flowing and getting attention and vibrant and full of life are the times when I was feeling comfortable and
Mhm.
flowing and full of life and energetic, right? And it's really been like this, but I want to be truly authentic. And that's what this podcast is
Mhm.
for too, right? Because I want to be me everywhere I am. I want the thread of me to go through
Mhm.
all of my relationships, my work, my everywhere I am in the world. And like even saying that, I don't know if you can tell my voice is getting really shaky. So it's really uncomfortable, but that's what I want. And so that's what I'm
Mhm.
going for. And also the things that we are the most afraid of, those are the things that are worth exploring, because that's where the treasures are hidden. And this
Yeah.
thing about posting this and then people finding it and listening to it, it's like when I used to make parody videos and oh gosh, I don't want to post that on the
They're so good.
why did I say that? But I used to make parody videos for fun. And then when they started getting lots and lots of views, I stopped because people started, we would go to Mark's work functions, right? Like, he's an attorney, and we'd go to the firm event, right? And then people would be like, oh my gosh, I saw your parody video where, I was pregnant on the Vespa in a blonde wig, right? Like rapping to Iggy
So
Azalea.
epic.
Like it's, I just then got really silly. I didn't feel safe. And now I I want to do those silly, crazy things because now I have a better sense of that I'm safe. And so I
Mm.
can't silly things. I don't know. Maybe I'm gonna launch another parody video. We'll see. So that was a bit of a tangent.
No, that was a beautiful tangent. What?
I said thank you. I
Oh,
getting hot in here. I think I'm getting a little vulnerable.
yeah, but you do it so naturally, and you do it with me all the time. It's
Yes,
you're just getting in your head knowing that people are gonna
I know.
watch you, but it's already you have to stay in the moment because,
This is what this
you
is.
know yeah, no, I love it. I love it. This is where we need to go, you know? I mean, this is the work that we need to do. And us coming together to do the podcast was mostly because we have both been going through like these, I hate calling it a spiritual awakening because I feel like I've always been somewhat spiritually aware,
Yeah, yeah.
right? Like we are even raised, to be spiritually aware and in tune. It's more of an awakening to the truth of what is beyond what we have already allowed ourselves to settle, to be content with what we want, what we think we know. And
Mhm,
that's really what's happening out there in the world is we think we know when, and I posted this actually recently on Facebook, a personal Facebook post of mine, and it probably caused a lot of controversy with people. It was a quote about truth, and truth is the expansion. It's recognizing that there's always room for growth and expansion, and that's where you start finding truth. A lot of people out in the world right now are like, no, I know that what I believe is true. Like, I know it. You can't take that away from me. And when you think about the experience that we're having in this human life and the growth that we go through from being a baby to a child to an adolescent, teenager and a young adult to, being older, we go through this process of perception and connection, and we draw understandings from what's happening around us and what we're seeing and how we're being treated and how we react and triggered, and the trauma that we go through, and everything in life, and the things that we're taught in school, or the things that our parents raise us to believe, or the things that we go to church and we learn, or whatever type of community you're a part of. And we start not even questioning if any of that is even the truth of who we are and where we truly come from, knowing that we are born and we die and we're not stuck here forever. So where the hell do we go? Right? Where did we come from? And there's just so much kind of pull over our heads that we get so accustomed to not even asking the questions until we have some sort of crisis, or until
mhm,
life hits us so hard and we're like, well, what am I meant for? Who am I? What is my purpose? What is life all about? And
mhm.
then you start asking those questions. So we all go through that, but then there's these pivotal times in your life where we have to begin recognizing that we are, one, not alone, and two, that we are eternal beings and we're energetic beings, so we're spiritual, and we are connected to something within ourselves, to God, whatever God means for you. And for me, God has changed over the course of the year as to what I really truly believe that that divine intelligence is.
Yeah, whether it's God, source, divine creator, heavenly father. One thing that's actually been really interesting is to me is practicing, okay, who is God? Because making that intention of like, who is God? Is God more of a fatherly figure? Is God more of a vengeful God? Is God more of a jealous God? Is like define who that God is. So then that vibration comes through when you are speaking to God is very
Mhm.
important.
Right. And if that's what you're connecting to,
Mhm.
that's what you're channeling. And and then when we're in the state of being convinced that we all need saving and that we're all full of sin, and that we have to do all of these things in a specific way in order to, gain glory and eternal life and forgiveness and all of these things, and it's this external, outwardly searching. They were always searching outside of ourselves. And I think the thing that is really most important to those that are going to listen to this podcast is that my sister and I want everyone to know that everything that you need is within you.
Mhm.
And like literally everything, all of the answers, all the love, all the truth, all the grace, all the understanding, and not just the light, but also the shadows. And as Missy and I have dived into human design and gene keys.
And also learning how to talk to our spirit guides and,
Yeah.
like a deeper way to pray.
Yeah.
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 And in terms of, like, what is a spiritual awakening, yeah, I think of it like you, where it's opening up to the good, bad, the beautiful, ugly, and taking away those labels, first of
Mhm.
all, and embracing all of it and learning to love all of it. And first, that has to happen within before you
Mhm.
can even understand. Like, understand isn't a good word, 'cause that makes it seem like a mental process, but like the work within is actually the most spiritual work, and the way to connect to our world and to any higher realm is through here.
But that's the magic and the beauty, and those are the things that I got a taste of when I was going through, everything in the fall of 2022 when I call it, I guess you could say it was like my higher self smacking me over the head and being like, "You're ready to experience this, and you're experiencing the extremity of it because it's going to give you something that is very precious." Like it gave me an experience that was very precious. And I call it my time of weaving through the dark and the light. And it was, I'm still making sense of it, but there is just a magic out there. I call it God's magic. And mom doesn't like me saying that necessarily because, when she thinks of magic, she thinks of like witchcraft and stuff like that, or like Harry Potter. And I'm like, no, 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 no. Like and I'm not thinking of that. I'm like, it's God's magic, like miracles. But I'm so, so surpassed even believing and just believing in miracles. Like I know miracles are happening, right? Like they're happening every day. I'm not praying for a miracle. I'm like, I can expect a miracle because that is how I understand the universe actually works now. And, when you're sharing your story earlier about how, it was as if the universe just was giving you this abundance. And I'm like, this is actually how it is meant to work every day.
Yeah, I was telling a story earlier how I signed up for a mentorship and I really wanted to do it, but I have this issue of feeling like a burden or that my needs are too much. And so when it comes to budgeting with my husband, I start to push down the things that I want and need because, the kids have these things they need, the grocery budget's out of control, and then I just don't even bring it up. But this time I did, and of course, he's like, "If you really feel like you need this, then let's do it. Let's make it work." And it took a lot. It took a lot for me to advocate for myself and ask for that support, and especially financially. And after I did, then money started rolling in from different sources, like, it was really surprising, and it paid for a chunk of it, so it was just really
Mhm.
exciting. And even my husband, who doesn't usually talk about the universe, said the
Right.
universe is really working in your favor. I was like, "Hell yeah, it is."
Yeah, and that's the energetic aspect of, I suppose what people would say, like, the secret, right? It's the attraction, but it goes so much deeper than that because we are actually way more powerful, than we even know, and we have the ability to manifest things in ways that we don't quite understand yet. Some people do, and they're teaching us how to do that and how powerful belief in ourselves is. Many of us, I think, are out here getting these realizations and we're starting to connect to these synchronicities. And what did you say earlier? It was like if you're Googling spiritual awakening, you're going through one.
I
Like,
know. You're wondering, am I going through a spiritual awakening? Yes. Yes, you are. If you even have that question, yes. Been
If
there.
you
What's that?
I was, I'm so naive in a beautiful way. Like I love the childlike aspect of my soul, of my incarnation. I just love that I'm like so in awe of so many things about the world when I'm actually paying attention. When I choose, like, my selective hearing actually pays attention and I'm like, wait, that sounds interesting. Um, it's like my higher self is like, okay, Jesse, it's time to understand this in a wiser way through experience, right? Because I have to embody the experience in order for me to really know it. And I
Mhm,
think that's why I have chosen
mhm,
school hard knocks life, right?
mhm,
Like having an eating disorder in high school and dropping out of high school and then getting pregnant at 18 and being excommunicated from the church and then coming back 8 years later and being baptized when my bishop told me, I don't know if you can be. Like there's a rule. You have to wait, however long, and I'm just like, you I know my truth. You go through like these ups and downs and roller coasters of life, and some of us can learn by being visual and seeing how the world operates, and or maybe our parents led us down like this beautiful path of never making a bad decision. And great, if that is what your higher self planned for you to experience in this incarnation and have a life of ease and abundance, great, good. At some point, will the rug be pulled out from under you? Yeah, I mean, probably, right? I mean, why are you coming to earth here to learn if something's not going to get shaken up,
mhm, mhm.
right? So I just chose the fast track in this life.
Like, I'm gonna live 20 incarnations in one.
We live forever. We don't have one rodeo here over 80 years of a human life.
Right, but it's so boring. And growing up LDS, we were taught that we're gonna be gods and goddesses.
We
No,
already are.
we already are.
We already are. We're
Hot.
here. That's the magic,
Mhm,
right? That's the magic that like we're tapping into, that we're understanding.
mhm,
But when we're talking about shadows, like, and you talk about this like human experience in the third density, these are the shadows. As a collective consciousness, we're living in the shadows and we're transmuting them. We're here to hold space for them and transmute them. You transmute the pain and the dark into the light, into the love. The strongest frequency is love, but also authenticity. And our authentic vibration here on Gaia is so powerful within the manifestation of the human experience that it is like we all signed up to come down here and experience it over and over and over again because it's the largest opportunity of soul growth that that we can have. I mean, the whole universe, right?
mhm.
Is there's an abundance out there, and to come down here to have these experiences and to go through such depth, such heaviness. I mean, it blows me away that people can believe that there's only this one life and that we don't reincarnate as many times as we wish based on how much our soul wants to grow.
Sounds so boring. So limiting. If something feels limiting, I'm instantly gonna reject it. If it feels like, a bummer or not necessarily a bummer, but just like, "Is that it? Like, that's it?" Then then it means I'm not looking wide enough. I'm limiting my own view if I'm like, "Is that it?" Right? There's
Mhm.
always more, always more.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's so true.
yeah.
Yeah, there is.
I'm really curious, anybody who listens to this or watches this, what resonated and what was something that you've never heard of before? What is something that you'd love to hear more about? What is something that you're like, oh yeah, sister, I'm like, you bitches be crazy. I'm really curious.
We accept all of it.
All good. I thank you for it all. I want to find my people. I want to find our people. They're out there.
Yeah. Yeah, we want more. We want we want this whole community to become alive and aware and just awake, and but in a way where we're not pointing fingers,
Mm-mm.
right? I mean, we've already been through a time recently in the world where we choose sides, we're pointing fingers, the fear mongering and all that stuff. There, this my sister and I have like come to this beautiful point where we're like, we see how the world is playing out, and it's entertaining. Like, get your popcorn, right? But it's also just a distraction. The world right now is a massive distraction from us looking inward and finding our internal peace and our internal knowing, so that we can truly recognize, as Yeshua, as Christ taught us, that he is the I am, and so are we. We are also the I am. We are we have God within us. And when we can connect to that, I found that through yoga 5 or 6 years ago, which is why I got into becoming a yoga instructor. And my sister's Missy's path is just vastly different from mine, which is why we felt like it would really benefit for us to come together and do a podcast, because we've still both come to this beautiful, beautiful place
Mhm.
along our different journeys, and we share, and then we're still like integrating different aspects upon our journeys, that we're still aligned, that we're still going through this like growth and ascension process, and we're connecting, but we just love that we're both on different paths and
Mhm.
finding different truths and having different perspectives about them. And even when we look back on our faith that we grew up being taught within the LDS faith, um, to me, and we'll talk more about this going forward because we know we'll probably attract a lot of people that are LDS. To me, there's the LDS faith that focuses on the life of Yeshua and the truth of who he truly was as a teacher, and teaching us that we can heal ourselves and that we have the power within and to connect to the divine. And there's to me, that is one truth I always held on to, even when I was excommunicated and I came back, like I knew who Yeshua was to me and following that path. And what I recognize is that he taught me to save myself. And then you have the Mormon culture, which to me isn't a religion, it's actually a cult and culture. And I have absolutely no problem saying this, um, because it's very real. And if you are a part of the church, or if you have people that have friends or have known people, they will tell you there's two different types of people that exist within this one religion. There's the culture that they will go into that another time, and then there's the faith that rests upon the searching of truth. And I have always held on to the things that I learned that were true for me, and even had a bishop when I was going through my divorce from my ex-husband, who encouraged me to step away from everything that I was doing, prayer, going to the temple, serving in a calling that I loved. He said, if you don't understand why you're doing it, and you don't understand who God is and God's love for you, you're not doing it because God needs you to do these things. You're supposed to be here to work on you and to be in this for you. And he basically questioned my faith. And I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, why am I doing this? Because I was raised this way, because of the expectation, because my parents had this expectation of me, because like, why? And that was when I found yoga, and that was when, all this magic truly started happening for me, and was able to step away from an abusive relationship and find that self-love that I didn't have like my whole life. Right. And now I'm doing that inner child work and the shadow work and that self-healing. And I'm starting to the emotion code and all these things. Like I'm starting to really embody this understanding of kind of what led me up to this point, even looking at my genetics and, dysregulation with neurotransmitters. Like there's so many multifaceted things that are going on with us as human beings. And the more we can understand the truth of the experience that we're having and recognize that that's all that it is an experience. And we're just meant to move through it and flow. That is when we are willing to put things aside that no longer serve us and take our truths, lay them down, and then the rest of it becomes a blank canvas for us to begin to start molding and drawing and shaping and shifting and building ourselves up again by taking all of these beautiful aspects and truths that we know of who we are as we do this internal reflection and internal healing. And then we are just supported by love and grace and our guides and our angels and our higher self and the divine within us to be able to really rebuild ourselves. And I think that's what many of us are doing in this incarnation. And that is who this podcast and these conversations are for.
You know
Yeah.
what is interesting is you went there, and I'm appreciating everything you're saying, and then paying attention to how that is feeling within me and the work that I've done and just my own awareness of not what I think about what you're saying, but how I feel about what you're saying, right? And trusting my instinctual responses. And when you said, I mean, you went there and you said the church is, you said cult. I was like, oh my gosh, she said that. So, I mean, I just think it's one of those, I mean, you said what you said, right? And what you said was authentic, and there's people who will be triggered, right?
Yeah.
People who will be like, yes, she said it. And or it'll start a conversation or it'll get nasty comments, Like, and those are the things that I'm noticing I get more concerned about is, oh my gosh, what are people going to say? Instead of what do I think? What do I feel? So I'm still working out how I feel about some of the things you said, and that's totally fine. And I'm standing here, or I'm sitting here as witness and supporting you because I'm so excited for your journey and there's nothing wrong with it.
Mhm.
And so, and I, right now, my work is doesn't matter what people say. It doesn't matter if people judge my sister. She's strong. It doesn't matter if people judge me, right? Because I am strong and I am whole
Mhm.
and I am loved and I'm allowed to change my opinion whenever I want. Like
Mhm.
to the same conclusion, I can come up to a different conclusion. I might wake up in the middle of the night and have some epiphany because of things that you said. And it's all part of the process and it's all beautiful and exciting. And I'm here for it. So,
Mhm.
yeah. So I also feel like one of the greatest gifts that someone can give is to trigger some sort of growth in another person, whether that is encouragement or conflict, right? It could be
Mhm.
could look differently because these are all opportunities to expand. And
Mhm.
if you're with someone who is, sorry, confirmation burp, I don't know if you're so if you're with somebody or if there's another person in your circle who is maybe trying to talk you into believing something or encouraging a certain path or pushing you in a certain direction, then are they really triggering any sort of growth or expansion in you?
Mhm.
It's that conflict. It's those like moments where you're like, that you actually have the opportunity to be like, ooh, what just happened there? So
Mhm.
thank you for that. I just think that's it's part of the process for all of us.
Yeah. The gift is in the shadow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. The triggering is the awareness that there's something there that needs to come up and be and hold space for
Mhm.
and give awareness to. And that's the gift. That's the beginning of the work that we need to do to ask, what are you? What am I feeling? And why are you here? And hold that,
Mhm.
right? And that's not easy, especially when we've been indoctrinated and brainwashed our whole lives to believe what other people have been telling us.
Yeah,
And
not like in all areas of life, right?
right.
Politics, education system, even the medical system, even like the food that we're supposed to eat, like, oh,
Hmm.
lies about fats.
Yeah, absolutely. It goes really deep. And the more you can let go of it all,
Hmm.
anything that you think you know, let
Hmm.
it go. Give yourself space to just say, it's okay for me to let go. Tell your body, you're
Hmm.
safe. We
Hmm.
can let this go. Tell your mind, shh, I love you. We can let this go and just release it internally.
Hmm.
Right, right. Like that's one thing that we have gotten away from. We have gotten away from being in nature and being in stillness and being in meditation and silencing the mind. We're so controlled by what our mind thinks and our ego. And we just need to come and quiet all that. We need to come within and we just need to hold space for just nothing, for just the womb of everything within the space of the black, that nothingness, which is where everything is created from.
Hmm.
So this is the work I feel like we are helping to bring awareness to, and the people that will resonate with it will have space for that. And again, I don't ever want to build a community to say that, religion, there are so many pathways to truth, and Yeshua is a very strong path. But the true story of Yeshua and Mary Magdalene and the divine feminine and everything that they did.
Things now we've talked about that people are probably like, what are they talking about?
If this hasn't been the podcast where it's like, what are these sisters? Like, what do they know?
We could just go down rabbit holes forever, which is why it's about time we do this because there's just so
Yeah.
much to explore. And again, I'm here for it.
Yeah, me too.
Okay. How do we say goodbye on these things?
I guess we could just say thank you for receiving us. And we always welcome you here in this space with us. We'll just set it all up so that we can receive comments and feedback, which is, again, always welcome. And yeah, we look forward to having another crazy conversation.
Okay, we love you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
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 Okay, love you. Bye-bye.
Okay, love you. Bye.